and welcome to another day. My name's Tyler, and if you're new to the channel, thanks for tuning in. Today's video is just kind of a little bit of an explanation on how to get into full-time RVing. Now, it may seem like a daunting task, especially whenever you already live in a house, or you may own the house, or you're renting somewhere, or whatever it may be. And it may also seem like a monumental expense. In some ways it is if you pay cash for your camper like we did. But what we did is we sold our home and took the equity and immediately purchased a camper. We paid cash for it. That's not to say that you can't find something nice for a few grand. All of that being said, you can also finance something. And a huge misconception about financing campers is that you have to have amazing credit. Yeah, in some ways it helps, but you don't necessarily have to have amazing credit if you have a down payment. Now, down payments, you don't go buy a $100,000 camper. Go buy a $20,000 camper and bring 5% down. May seem like a lot of money, but if you're purchasing one outright, or even if you're moving into an apartment and you need a deposit, a lot of times that can equate out to about the same amount. So, whenever you look at it, those expenses, yeah, it may seem like a lot whenever you sit down and you do the math, but whenever you're looking at what you're spending getting into an apartment or getting into a house with deposits, a lot of times you can finance a camper for the same amount, and then you have your home. Another thing that you can do is sell your house, like I just said that we did. What we did is we sold our house and we took some of that money and we purchased our camper. Now, we got extremely lucky. We bought a 2022 Palomino Puma from a gentleman who really needed to get out of it. We ended up buying a $35,000 camper for $22,000. I essentially paid off his loan, and we got the camper in return, free and clear. There's nothing that we owe on this. I have no payments, no nothing on the camper. Now, that was my situation. Your situation might be different. My first camper that Stephanie and I bought was $4,000, okay? I paid $4,000 for it cash. It was a 1998 Jayco, fifth wheel. It was 28 foot long and it had one slide. It was not huge by any stretch of the imagination, and it was old and it had some problems. So whenever we first bought the camper, the water heater didn't work. I had to fix the furnace, and I had to do some other things to the camper. A lot of that stuff was, I had to dig into it and learn how to do those things because I could not afford to go and pay somebody to come out and look at the camper and figure out what was going on with it. The big thing with the water heater was figuring out what was causing it not to ignite, if there was an issue with the control panel, or if there was an issue with the hot water heater itself. It ended up being a combination of a few things, and just in looking up wiring diagrams and how these things work, I gained a general understanding on how to fix that. So, just so you guys know, I'm not talking about this full-time RVing thing from a standpoint of just buying a brand new camper. I'm talking about a standpoint of where I bought something that was older that had a lot of issues. My wife and I actually replaced the air conditioning down in Mississippi in the dead of summer, and had no idea what we were doing. But like I said, I have a pretty good ability to understand things if I can take it apart, and or if I can find diagrams or just in general some kind of something that gives me some sort of guidance on what I'm doing. That is something that I know a lot of people struggle with, but if I can do it, you can do it. All the knowledge that I have is just general understanding from figuring it out myself. Replacing an air conditioning on a camper, by the way, is super easy and anybody can do it. I do recommend having two people because they are heavy, but it's not hard to do. So, back to the topic of getting into full-time RVing. Those are a couple of ways that you can get in. My biggest thing that I would warn people about coming into full-time RVing is thinking that it is almost free, which is not true, because whenever you stay in a campground, a lot of times the prices can be higher. So I do recommend looking around, pricing out your areas and pricing out as far as where you want to live and what type of spot you want to stay in before you go into this lifestyle. Because if you live down by the coast and you want to stay next to the ocean, you're going to be looking in the $1,000 to $1,500 range to stay in some of the campgrounds that are straight down by the coast. A lot of times lake campgrounds can be a little bit higher. Where I stay currently, I'll just give you guys what I pay is $750 a month. That's before, or it's $740, and then I have 2 vehicles, and I think it comes out to about $785. So ignore the $750 number. That's just a rough estimate, but I think it comes out to $785 a month. Now, the big thing about this is that you do not have electricity or water, but you will have other expenses, especially in the wintertime, like LP, liquid propane. So everything in this camper is either electric or gas, and that's fairly common. That's the same as what houses are. Now, your furnace is going to burn a lot of gas in the wintertime. You can mitigate some of this with electric heaters and things like that. But whenever you are running your furnace a lot, especially if you have a 4-season camper with like a 35,000 BTU furnace in it, it burns a lot of propane. We spend somewhere around $100 to $150, sometimes $200 a month just in propane. So that right there, just as far as like rent and utilities goes, it's about $1,000 a month for you to live full time in this area. Now, if you want to go into a cheaper area, some of the trailer parks and stuff around here, you can get in there for around $300 a month for your lot rent, and then you have your other utilities on top of that. So it may be a little bit cheaper to go that route, but just so you're aware, it is, especially in the wintertime, around $1,000 a month just to stay in the RV. And that's just for your place to live. Now, if you have a camper payment on top of that, it does start to add up, if you see what I'm saying. So at this point, you're probably looking around $1,000 a month with a camper payment, depending on where you're at. If you go the cheap route, maybe say $200 a month, so you're at $1,200 a month. Now you got to talk about insurance, because this is your home and everything inside of this home is yours, right? So depending on where you go with your deductibles and what you're going to cover, I think my insurance on my camper is $120 to $150 a month. I have good coverage on my camper. Once again, it has everything in it, and I don't want to have to pay for anything if it burns to the ground. So I want all that. So as far as, I guess this kind of took a turn from how to get into to how much it costs. It's just kind of a be aware of these numbers before you get into it. So yeah, I would say camper lifestyle can cost you anywhere between $1,000 to $1,500 a month, all in, every month. Okay, that's all your expenses, probably food if you have a payment, all that stuff. Now, whenever you look at that as far as the cost of a house, my house alone cost me $1,800 a month plus everything else, and whenever it was added up, is about $2,300 a month. So just right off of the bat, if I'm on the high end, I'm saving $800 a month moving into a camper. So that is huge. Now, back over to the how to get into this lifestyle. What I would recommend doing before you move into your camper is have about $3,000 to $4,000 set aside so that you can purchase things for the camper. Now, this may sound like a high number, but if you buy a camper that has nothing with it, you're going to need jacks and sewer stuff, and you're going to probably want to get different types of furniture if you want to. Like, I have an island right here. You know, these are a couple $100. All of your storage bins are $10, $20, $30 a piece. You know, you have a lot of things that you're going to want to change whenever you move into your camper, just to make it comfortable, because all of those big things that you have for your house may not fit into this tiny little camper. You may want to go get new plates and bowls and things like that. So that $3,000 to $4,000 is kind of it's a high shoot, but that also kind of gives you a little bit of a buffer if you buy the camper and, you know, something's wrong with it, or you need to fix something, or, you know, you have to pay a couple months rent up front whenever you move into your campground. Whatever it may be, always have a little bit of a rainy day fund so that whenever you move in, you have some money set aside so that you can do the things that you want to do. If you don't do that, that's perfectly fine. You can kind of make it work without that stuff, but I recommend having a little extra cash just so that you can make it as comfortable as possible, because it is a huge transition. Huge transition. I went from a 2,900 square foot house to a, I don't know, 250, 300 square foot camper. It's probably a little more than that. I haven't measured it. But at the same time, it's a big, big, big transition for you and your family, especially if you have pets. Obi, come here. This is my little pet right here. This is Obi. Say hi. This is a little Obi son right here. And then I have a 6-year-old daughter who lives with us part-time, so we had to have a second bedroom. And my wife, who lives with me full-time, unless she kicks me out. I need to go buy a doghouse, probably. Build a shed. I don't know, something. Because, you know, that's... we'll see whenever she kicks me out of the camper. But, anyways, a big transition, so you're not going to have a lot of space, so you've got to figure out ways to mitigate that and kind of find ways to get around each other and give each other enough space. What I try to do, my wife tries to do, is whenever we're in a room, we try to kind of give each other a little bit of room so that we're not tripping over each other. You know, there's a lot of choke points whenever you get into campers where there's only space for one person to walk. Luckily, we have a large bedroom, and our living space isn't too terrible, but with the island in the way, the walkways are very small, and the kitchen space is big enough for one person, but you cannot have 2 people in here. So, all that being said, getting into full-time RVing. Oh, the other thing I want to tell you guys, you don't have to have a truck to pull the RV. A lot of companies out there will move it, and you can put it into a semi-permanent spot. And if you have to move it, you can have somebody come and move it for you. A lot of times the campgrounds, you can talk to them and they know somebody who provides a service, or they provide it themselves. So, as far as getting into this, and what I think, I love it. I like the freedom. I like that the space that I have can be moved. If I want to go spend time at the lake, I can go over there, go sit at the lake for a week, and still work, and still run my business, and my wife can go to work. If you like that kind of lifestyle, this is absolutely amazing. It's so amazing. You feel very free, especially if you paid cash for it, because your house is paid for. I know you still have to pay lot rent, you're renting places, but the nice part about it is that if you get sick of an area or you want to move somewhere else, you can. You're free to move around. That's the biggest thing about this lifestyle that I love. I know this video is kind of bounced around and I'm not really staying on topic real well, but I just want you guys to know how I feel about it, and I'm trying to give you my most honest opinion. So, whether you own a house, whether you rent, whether you know, stay with friends, whatever it may be, if you can get into this and you can make the initial investment into this lifestyle, it is amazing. It really is. You'll feel so free, and you know, like I said, you can do it for fairly cheap. If you want to go pay cash for a camper, and pay $3,000-$4,000 and just upgrade over time, it's kind of what we did, except I bought a house in between, and that was kind of a mistake. You know, once I got into the house, I missed my camper. I missed it so much. I missed living small. I missed not having all the bills and all the responsibility. I don't even have to mow the grass anymore. I can spend my time doing other things like my business, or going for a hike if I want to, or, you know, taking my dog for a walk, or just the little things like that you can fill with those hours of time that you take maintaining a home. There's things that you have to do to a camper whenever you're living in it full time, which in the future I may make some videos to kind of show you guys some things that'll make your life a little bit easier. But for the time being, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe, and I hope you guys have a great day.